welcome to my vineyard ramble this morning. High official wine unicorn in California. Glad you stayed up for today. Great to see you. And great to see some of you who I joined last night for a tasting with Erica. Erica Dent. Enjoy Discovering Wine. If you want to learn anything more about wines, I highly recommend Enjoy Discovering Wines with Erica. We had a fabulous session last night. But here we are, Vineyard Ramble this morning, just to set the scene. That's the sunshine up here. If you've got your tea towel, on the tea towel we're in the Colombier vineyard. So the Colombier vineyard is this one here, and this is the Macabre. So the Macabre that we looked at last week, the Macabre, and then at the back we've got the Montoche. This is the Carcassonne direction. Unfortunately, when I turn in this direction, I can't feel any wind. So there's no tramontana blowing today. You may think there's no wind at all, but there is. Come around here, the Toche, 4 kilometres of limestone, the Toche. And then here, the cigale. And behind the cigale is Touchon in this direction. So we're literally just a short walk from our house because I've managed to track down Jean Marc. So I was so excited about tracking down Jean Marc that I thought we'd go and catch up with him in the vineyard because it has been quite a while. So I'll just get going. So walking through the Macabre and just letting you listen to those lovely sounds of the cigale here. And I just thought I'd go and catch up with Jean Marc, see what he's been up to during the week. I've got to try and find him first though. So Jean Marc's in here somewhere. So this is our Carignan and Grenache 110-year-old vines here. Old vines, 110, so lovely root structure that allows them to stay lovely and green and lush even when it's going to be drought conditions a bit later on. So co-planted, but it's about 80% Carignan. So mainly Carignan in here. And this will go into our Carignan that we tasted on the rock the other night. So where is Jean Marc? Can you hear those cigales? They're literally deafening here. So look at these grapes as well. Quick. The grapes are doing that. Right, who can spot Jean Marc? Oh, I can hear a voice. I can hear. Let's see. Where? I think I can hear him over here. So let's go and see. And gobelet, I was going to give you a quick pronunciation. I know this is a request from Jilly. Gobelet is the way that these vines are trained. So it's otherwise called a bush vine or gobelet. And to pronounce gobelet, it's like gob, like to spit. Gob. Can I hear you go? Gob. And then just So like gob, and then lay, like to lay down. So very easy to say. Wow, I think I've disturbed the cigale in one of the vines. Gob, like to spit. Lay, gobelet, gobelet. It's literally. Oh, it's there. I don't want to talk. That's amazing. It literally came to sing in my ear. What a noise. Should we just stay here? I wonder if Jean Marc will notice we haven't gone to see him. It's so loud. It's like deafening. So I get a bit closer. I'm just like totally, I'm just amazed that a cigale just landed right next to my ear so that I could show you. He obviously wanted to be in the video, but they don't do any damage to the vines and they just make this lovely chirping sound. Perhaps we ought to get on. I can see Jean Marc, right? Just amazing. Right, have we seen enough? No, I've never seen one this close up before, ever. It's the first time I've been here for 25 years. I've never seen a cigale this close. she's doing my ears in. So I think cigale, I don't know how you say it in English. Does anybody else know how you say cigale in English? It's from the cricket family. It's not a locust. I think it's a cigale. Right, let's spot Jean Marc. Here. And he's not alone today. Wow, my ears are still ringing from the noise of that cigale in my ear. So here we come. Bonjour tout le monde.
Bonjour tout seul.
Bonjour. So here we've got Nicolas, we've got Jean Marc, obviously, and we've got Christine. So we met Christine a couple of weeks ago, if you remember. She did the Farmer Needs a Wife series. So, il comprend. Juste bonjour, voilà. Alors, Jean Marc, you look really hot already.
Yeah.
T'es un peu chaud, non?
A little bit.
A little bit. So, qu'est-ce que tu es en train de faire? T'as chaud.
J'ai le soleil dans les yeux.
Ouais, tu veux qu'on sorte? Ouais, sorry. Jean Marc hates the heat, and I'm just making him stand straight on.
On est bourgeonne.
You're ébourgeonné. Ébourgeonné. So ébourgeonné is to thin the shoots, or it's debudding, de-stemming, I believe, in English.
On essaie d'éclaircir le centre des souches.
So we're trying to clear the middle of the vine so that there's not too many leaves and not too many grapes all bunched up together.
Yes, in spring we come in this vineyard for spraying for the mildew. Then we use protection, stimulateur de défense.
Yeah. So in the spring, earlier on, we did come into this vineyard and we explained that we were using organic measures to combat mildew, which was a fruit pectin solution.
Yes, and now it's the same idea. It's to protect the vineyard, but in French it's lutte prophylactique.
Thanks, Jean Marc. That's a really big word. I haven't got a clue what that is. Rob, can you help on that? Could you say that big word again?
C'est lutte prophylactique, c'est-à-dire c'est éviter que les maladies puissent s'installer.
Oh, okay. So basically it's saying that what we're trying to do, like with the mildew solution we put on, it's a natural defense. So we're trying to get the vine to protect itself naturally.
Quand c'est mieux aéré, quand c'est mieux exposé.
So when it's thinned out and there's more, the sun can get in. When it's just thinned out, the vine, you can get more air in, so that can get around the grapes and keep them healthy.
And for the harvest, it's better for the sun, the maturity is more regular.
And it's so much better. Now, the big challenge now is to get these grapes ripe. That's not normally a challenge down here in the south of France, but you have to be really careful of how many leaves do you leave, because you don't want to get rid of too many, because we do suffer from the grapes actually being burnt by the sun. Les raisins, si on enlève trop, les raisins ils peuvent brûler aussi au soleil.
On peut, oui.
So we have to be careful how many leaves we take off. We need enough for the photosynthesis to ripen the grapes and enough to keep them in the shade as well. But we need to get the air circulating. Donc peut-être tu peux nous montrer.
The objective is always to have a nice balance. It's never good to do too much or
it's
or
all
nothing.
about balance.
Always.
Everything in life is about balance, and especially in the vineyard. So you just don't take too many off and don't thin them out too much. It's about balance between the leaves. How many leaves we leave.
Each vineyard is different. Sometimes you have a lot of things to do, sometimes nothing.
And so each vineyard is different. So we're the only people in Touchon, I believe, that actually do this in the vineyards on the old vines, to actually thin out the vines. And that's because we want good quality grapes.
Because when we want wait the maximum for the nice maturity, you need to have a perfect état sanitaire.
Yeah, so you need to keep these vines healthy, because we want to leave the grapes out until they're 100% ripe, so until they've reached perfect maturity. If they're not healthy, you can't do that, and you have the pressure to pick them. And this is why we do all of this work, basically so that we can leave the grapes out on the vines, on their gobelet vines, so that they ripen correctly and uniformly as well.
For example,
Can we have a look?
You
No,
can
no.
look.
No.
I can speak or
Can you speak? Don't cut your fingers off. Right.
No.
So, actually, Jean Marc's got his hands right in the middle of the vine. No, that doesn't need doing. Oh, there's a bit of terroir here, a bit of soil, big lump of limestone. Have a look at another one here.
For example,
hold on. So, hold on. Oh.
It's in the center.
So that is in the centre. And so this was a shoot that was coming off the wood directly. And we don't need that one. It was right in the middle. So see, it was here. And in taking that out, it's really opened up the middle of the vine. So that's just excellent. Okay. This one doesn't need doing. I don't think here. Oh, missed that.
Oh, this is
C'est trop rapide.
Oh, when it's small.
Yeah. So, then how long have the team been doing this? Ça fait combien de temps que l'équipe
Ça fait combien de temps, quoi?
que l'équipe est bourgeonne?
This vine?
Yeah.
This vine start this morning.
Yeah. So they started this vine this morning, and generally it's been a couple of weeks because we saw them up in the muscat vineyard and they were thinning.
We change, sometimes we put in the wire, sometimes we do this, but they are, I don't know, May, June.
May and June, 2 months doing this. Perhaps just one more, je peux te dire une de plus, and then we'll look at the question. Ouais.
Quoi?
Une vigne de, ouais. Ou un pied de plus pour voir. Attends, je fais le avant. So this is.
Non, mais
il
n'y a pas forcément beaucoup.
Sometimes you like take a look and there's not much to take off, but that one, that can come off. So a couple of grapes there.
Yeah,
but it's more for the
very
leaves.
Important. The more important is to have after the nice
shape.
Equilibre.
Yeah, the aim of this as well is to get that nice gobelet shape. So like a wine glass, so it's nice and round, and all the grapes sort of hang on the outside, so they can get lots of air and the same sunshine.
Il doit y avoir une bonne aération pour que la maturité soit plus homogène.
Yeah, so that we get a nice even ripeness on the grapes, so they're spread out, they're not all bunched together in the middle.
Il faut savoir que dans une même grappe, tu peux avoir des différences très importantes, par exemple des baies qui sont aux alentours de 14-15 degrés. Et d'autres qui sont à 8-9.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And if you stay with me, I'm going to be out here up until harvest. So we will actually see the grapes ripening. And what Jean Marc says is sometimes you get, in the same bunch of grapes, you can get some grapes that are 14 or 15% alcohol potential, and others that are 8 or 9 in the same bunch. So the idea is that by doing this, you get the sunshine on all of the bunches evenly, and that all of the grapes ripen in the same bunch, that you don't have. Ça s'appelle Miller? No.
Non,
it's just. There's not a word.
L'hétérogénéité des maturités, et c'est favorisé par l'entassement des raisins.
Yeah.
Donc si tu n'as pas d'entassement de raisin, tu as une maturité qui est plus homogène. Et tu
so basically just spacing them out and letting them get lots of air so that they can ripen properly. So that's the whole reason that we do this, is so that the grapes can ripen
et l'état
properly.
sanitaire, tu améliores l'état sanitaire parce que tu peux mieux les protéger.
And it keeps them nice and healthy because you can protect them better. So when we come in, we're protecting against odium at the moment. So we're using a very fine sulfur powder on them, and if the grapes are exposed a bit more, then the powder will be more effective. Okay, excellent. On va voir. Merci beaucoup, Jean Marc.
Avec plaisir.
Tu peux aller à l'ombre maintenant.
Pourquoi l'ombre?
Oh no, you're not going. So you can go and sit in the shade. That way, you don't say that to a farmer, do you? Go and have a rest in the shade. So let me see if I can get the questions. Sometimes it gets a bit difficult to get questions because the screen gets really hot. Just give that, right, okay. So Dalewood says, lui travaille avec 8, let me put this on the screen, sorry, not quite with it. So Dalewood Vineyard, ils disent que eux, pour les feuilles, ils travaillent avec 8 bonnes feuilles par grappe de raisin dans le sud.
Ouais, là, Ici sur des gobelets, on ne compte pas.
Yeah, we can't. It's very difficult on this type of gobelet vine to count the leaves.
L'objectif, c'est naturellement d'avoir cet équilibre. Hein. Une surface foliaire en bon état.
Yeah. So we don't actually, it's very difficult to actually count the leaves on here, but Jean Marc knows just through working the vine since he was about 10 years old, the correct amount of leaves that we need. I could sit here and count them and see, but we'll save that for the next video, I think. Thanks very much for that, Darwood. And Tony Parkinson says, how do you identify how much potential alcohol each grape has? Donc, il demande, parce que tu as parlé des grappes qui peuvent être différentes, donc comment on identifie, comment on le sait, l'alcool?
Avec le réfractomètre, donc on presse des baies, on met le jus sur une lunette.
So we have a refractometer that we take out into the vineyard, and you take a selection. I think you're meant to take at least 200 little grapes and squash them, get the juice out, and you take a representative sample. But Tony, if you stay with us, we will be doing that in some of the later videos. So some of the lives coming up to harvest, as I mentioned yesterday, I'm just going to do 2 a week, but those 2 lives a week, we will be looking right up to harvest and even into the winery, all the questions on the harvest. You'll actually see it live. So, and I've mentioned, Adam, thanks for that these grapes go into the 100% Carignan. And then just one final comment is, are we getting ready for the harvest in the wineries? On nous demande si on se prépare pour les vendanges.
August. No, now.
Not now. So
now is more in the vineyard, and in August we start.
We're going to keep that for August, basically. Now we're still in the vineyards. There's still combien il y en a encore? Tu sais à peu près combien de semaines de travail à la vigne?
Disons que on va dire jusqu'au vendange, il y a des différents travaux à faire, mais les gros travaux en verre, c'est environ jusqu'à mi-juillet.
So we've got until mid-July where we'll have the team out here doing this sort of work. So we've still got quite a bit of work to do in the vineyards. And then August will be the time when we start preparing the winery and getting ready. And just looking at, that's really interesting comments on Darwood's just saying how he does it down there, that if he's got too many bunches, he will actually take a bunch off, so he's got the right leaf management. In fact, I've got you can't see me, but my eyes are streaming. Basically because we're in a vineyard, I think it's just been sulfured, so we put a fine sulfur. And he's going, don't rub your eyes. Literally my eyes are streaming, so I'm having difficulty seeing the screen. And we will see you tomorrow. Thanks very much for joining. See you tomorrow. Bye everybody.